All right, so today what we're going to do is we're going to take and we're going to go from one form into another. So we'll be converting from point slope into standard into slope intercept, and from standard into slope intercept, or slope intercept into standard. Now notice I didn't say anything about going into point slope form, because point slope form is really a gateway into those other two forms, right? So we don't really get into point slope form unless we're trying to switch back and forth between the others, or we're just giving a point and a slope. So this is kind of what it is. You got to know what they look like in order to be able to know how to convert into them. So here we go. Point slope, y minus y subset 1 equals m, the slope, parentheses, x minus x subset 1, parentheses, point slope form. We're going to be given this, converting it into these other forms. Standard, ax plus by equals c, where a, b, and c are integers and a is positive. All right, so that's what you're looking for. So slope intercept, y equals mx plus b, m is your slope, b is your y-intercept. All of these are really useful. You need to know how to go back and forth between them all the way through, so that's what we're doing today. I'm really just going to give you one example of each one, because otherwise this would be an extremely long video. We're trying to keep it short. All right, first things first, standard to slope intercept form. So this is in ax plus by equals c. This is in standard form. We want to go to slope intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. So in order to do that, we're solving for y. We're going to get y all by itself. Common theme here is getting y all by itself. All right, so when you're going to slope intercept form, get y by itself. We're going to start moving things around so that we can do this. All right. We want to move this over to this side. Well, in order to do that, we're going to add its inverse. Add negative 2x to both sides. Now, I add the inverse here on purpose. I do this because addition is commutative, and this allows me to take and automatically put this in front of this whenever I rewrite this. That's the reason I like using add the inverse in this situation. So this will cancel this out. This subtraction goes with this 3. So negative 3y equals, and then I'm going to move this in front, and this to the back here, negative 2x plus negative 6. Now, all I got to do is get rid of this negative 3, and I'll have my y by itself. Well, this negative 3 is getting multiplied times y. Opposite of that is division, so I'm going to divide by negative 3. Now, there's two ways of showing this division on this other side. You could draw a line under all of it and then just put the negative 3 underneath there, but we want it in slope intercept form, so we're going to take and we're going to separate that out. We're going to take and divide negative 3 by each term on this side. So here, divide by negative 3, divide by negative 3. This will cancel this out and leave us with y equals a negative divided by negative, positive 2x over 3. And I'm going to deal with this here in just a second so that you see this, okay? Plus negative 6 divided by negative 3 gets me 2. Now, the neat thing about this right here is if you know your fraction rules, you know that this x can get separated out to the side here because it's up on top and it's multiplication. So I get to actually just separate this. So when I rewrite this, y equals 2/3 x plus 2. I got to pull that just down to the side because of our fraction rules, and if you have a question about your fraction rules, well, look at one of my videos on that, or go look up fraction rules on this, and this works out. So nice little deal. Y equals mx plus b. Here's your slope. Here's your y-intercept. Very useful to be able to go back and forth between this. Standard to slope intercept. Have questions on that? Let me know. All right, slope intercept to standard. Okay, so now we're going to reverse this and go back into standard. Well, when you do this, if you're in standard, you don't want fractions. So we need to get rid of these fractions, make this a little bit easier. Well, how do you get rid of fractions? You clear the fractions. You're going to multiply each term by the common denominator. Well, y equals 3 over 2x plus 2. 2 is my common denominator. Nothing else in there has a fraction, so it's all over 1. So there's my common denominator. So I'm going to come in here and each term I'm going to multiply by 2. That'll get rid of this 2 down here on this bottom, right? So multiply here by 2, multiply this by 2, multiply this by 2. Notice I didn't multiply the x by 2 because this 3/2 x is one term. So I'm just going to multiply this by 2. So you end up with 2y equals, I'm going to put this over 1, and I'm going to cross cancel right here. This is the whole point of this, is to be able to do this. So you end up with a 1 here, a 1 here. Well, 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 1 is 1. 3 over 1 gets me 3x right there. Plus 4. Now, I want to move this to this side. And essentially what I'm doing is solving for the 4 here, getting it all by itself. I'm moving everything else over to the other side. So, add the inverse to both sides. That gets rid of this. Leaves me with just the 4 on this side. So here, I'm going to move this in front. Negative 3x plus 2y equals 4. But we have a problem with this right here. This right here is negative, and we don't want a negative. So we're going to go through, and we're basically just multiplying each term by a -1, but in reality, we're just going to go ahead and change all the signs. So this becomes positive 3x plus -2y equals -4. And notice I changed all the signs. The 3 became positive, the 2 became negative, the 4 became negative. You might also see this written like this: 3x minus 2y equals -4. And it is in its most reduced form, so I'm good with this. Make sure to check when you do this if it's simplified. And this number right here is positive. You have no fractions in this. That's what you're looking for. Standard form. Ax plus by equals c. Very good. You can do that. All right. Point slope to standard. So over here we went slope-intercept to standard. Here we're going point slope to standard. It's basically the same thing, but you got a few extra steps included into this. Now, we want to get rid of the fraction. We don't want a fraction. Again, we're going to standard where we don't have fractions in this. So we're going to multiply each term by the common denominator. Well, since there are no other fractions, that's the common denominator is 2. So we're going to multiply this by 2, this by 2, and then right here by 2. And now notice, I didn't multiply anything inside here by 2 because this is one term all together because it's multiplication. All right, so it's going to clear this fraction out. We're going to have 2y minus a equals 1. So our slope is going to be 1 here. X minus 2, and actually I can actually just drop these parentheses and get rid of that, because if I distribute this 1 through, that's 1 times x, which gets me x, 1 times 2, which gets me 2. So we're going to do that. 2y minus a equals x minus 2. Now I get to start moving things around. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move this to this side. Add 8 to both sides. That gets me 2y equals x plus 6. Now I'm going to move my x to this side. Plus -x plus -x. That gets me -x plus 2y equals 6. That's a negative. I don't want that to be negative. I need that to be positive. So I'm going to come through here and I'm going to change all my signs. So x minus 2y equals -6. That turned positive. Every other term changed its sign. That's in standard form. Now, ax, a is 1, by the way. In front of that is a 1. So ax plus by equals c. We're in standard form. And we're reduced. So watch that. Make sure you have that. Now, the last one we have is point slope to slope-intercept form. This is the one that we did yesterday, so you should be kind of familiar with this. We're just going to go through here. We're in point slope. We're going to distribute the negative 3/4 through. Y plus 6 equals negative 3/4 x plus, because the negative times the negative gets me a positive, 3/4 times 4, or 4/1, okay? And again, I know you got a calculator, that's gonna help you, but I wanna show it. We're gonna cross cancel here, becomes 1, 3 times 1 is 3, 1 times 1 is 1, so I'm gonna rewrite this, y plus 6 equals negative 3/4 x plus 3. Okay? Now I need to move this to this side, add its inverse. Leaves me with y equals negative 3/4 x, negative 6 plus positive 3 gets me negative 3. Now it could also be written like this, y equals negative 3/4 x minus 3. Either one of those is correct and they both work. Slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, you have it there. As you can do this isn't, it's a lot of work as far as moving things around, but it's all things that you've done before. So don't try to overcomplicate it, take it a step at a time, write it down. Don't try and do this in the calculator where you're trying to move things around and figure out where they're at. Write it down, take it a step at a time. I wouldn't even attempt to do this without taking it a step at a time and writing it down. So, if you have any questions, let me know.